They say your best friend is like your second soul. I believe that, until the day she stole mine and wore it like a mask. My name is Aria, and if you told me a year ago that my best friend would ruin my life, I would have laughed in your face. Tessa and I were inseparable. We met in college, two broke girls with big dreams, huddled in the back row of our business ethics class, whispering jokes about our professor's bad breath. It was instant. We clicked like sisters. And for the next 8 years, she was exactly that, family. We were each other's biggest cheerleaders. When she got her first job in marketing, I threw her a surprise party. When I launched my small fashion business from a tiny Etsy shop, she was the first to buy a hoodie and post about it with hashtags like #BossBestie and #SupportLocalQueens. Tessa was warm, magnetic. People gravitated toward her. But she was also sharp, dangerously so. She had that kind of charm that could either lift you up or gut you without blinking. But I didn't see it then. I just saw my ride or die. By our late 20s, I had built my brand, Aria and Company, into something real. What started as sketches on napkins turned into a full online store. We had minimalist streetwear, eco-conscious fabrics, and a loyal following that was growing fast. I couldn't keep up with the orders myself anymore. I needed help. So I hired her. Tessa became my operations manager. It made sense. She knew me. She knew the business. And I trusted her more than anyone. But that trust, it was a weapon I handed her with a smile. At first, everything seemed perfect. Sales doubled in 6 months. Our socials were buzzing. Tessa even came up with the idea to partner with a few mid-tier influencers. "It's about time you get the spotlight," she'd say, brushing lint off my sleeve before a live shoot. I thought we were winning together. But strange things started happening. One day, a $15,000 shipment of custom hoodies went missing. The courier swore they never received the pickup confirmation. I checked the logs. Tessa had scheduled it. "Must be a glitch," she said, brushing it off. Then came the late payments to our suppliers. My manufacturer in LA threatened to cut ties after claiming we hadn't paid in 2 months. I checked the books. Payments were made, but from a different account. One I didn't recognize. Tessa blamed a junior employee and promised to clean up the mess. I started noticing subtle changes in her behavior. She'd get defensive when I asked for updates. Emails disappeared. She'd say things like, "Maybe you're just overwhelmed, Aria," or "Running a business isn't for everyone, babe." I brushed it off, gaslight myself, until the day it all imploded. I walked into the office, our small shared loft downtown, and found it empty. Not just quiet empty. Desks cleared. Files gone. My login locked. My name scrubbed from the brand dashboard. I called Tessa. No answer. I called our shared accountant. That's when I learned the horrifying truth. Tessa had filed legal paperwork months ago, removing me as the company's majority shareholder. She'd used forged signatures, manipulated invoices, and claimed I was mentally unfit to run the business. The business I'd built from scratch. She had stolen everything. My brand, my clients, my name, and worse, she made sure the world believed I had sabotaged her. That day, I didn't cry. I sat in the center of that gutted office, staring at the blank wall where my design board used to hang, and whispered to myself, "She doesn't know who she just betrayed." Because I wasn't going to crawl away quietly. I was going to take back everything. I couldn't remember the last time I blinked. Hours passed and the sun had come up, but I sat motionless on the floor of my apartment, the chill of dawn creeping through the window. I was still in the same hoodie I'd worn the day before, the first hoodie I ever designed. The same hoodie Tessa had proudly posted about 3 years ago with the caption, "My bestie's gonna take over the world." The irony made me sick. I kept thinking it had to be a mistake, that there was some legal loophole or administrative error, that maybe the truth would unravel itself with a single phone call. But the truth had already unraveled. Tessa had gutted everything. The bank account we used for payroll, emptied. The business PayPal, which had been tied to our customer returns, redirected. Our shared Google Drive, my years of design files, marketing decks, even my customer lists deleted. I wasn't just cut out of the company. I was erased. I tried calling her. Of course I did. 3 times. Then I texted, "Tessa, what is going on? Please call me. This has to be a mistake. Please." No response. Just that awful blank delivered mark mocking me. And then it hit me. If she had the power to do all of this overnight, then she'd planned it for months. Maybe even longer. The signs were all there. I'd just been too blind to see them. The accidental calendar deletions that made me miss supplier meetings. The time she said I looked overwhelmed during an investor call and volunteered to take over logistics to lighten my load. The little side comments, "You really should slow down before you burn out, Ari." Or maybe the brand needs a more stable face. She was setting the stage, slowly chipping away at my credibility while building a case to take over. And she'd won, or at least she thought she had. That afternoon, I went to see Maddie, my cousin, roommate for 2 years in college, and currently a third-year law student with a brain like a steel trap and the sarcasm of a seasoned New Yorker. I walked into her apartment and collapsed on the couch. "You look like someone lit your life on fire," she said. I nodded. She took it all. Everything. Tessa, she framed me. She sat across from me, stunned. I told her everything. From the early days of the business to the missing funds, the locked accounts, the forged paperwork. Maddie didn't interrupt once, but her face tightened with every word. When I finished, she cracked her knuckles and said, "Okay, let's wreck her." We spent the next 5 hours building the bones of a case. We started with emails. I had thousands of them, conversations between me and suppliers, timestamps on logo drafts, sketches shared with Tessa months before we even launched. Then came the contracts. I had scanned copies from our original partnership agreement. I'd always been paranoid about losing digital files, so I kept backups on a separate drive. Thank God I did. Maddie pieced together a timeline while I combed through our social media archives. And that's when I found it. The live stream from our very first pop-up event, me sketching on a tablet, talking about how I came up with the Aria and Company name right in front of an audience. In the corner, you could see Tessa, smiling, saying into the mic, "It's all Aria. This girl is a genius." It was all the proof I needed. We kept digging. Tessa had set up a new company 3 months before she locked me out. A+ threads. Clever, right? Slightly different enough not to raise red flags, but close enough to exploit the same client base, same branding aesthetic, same influencer circles. She even used the same Instagram captions, copied, pasted, and reposted under the new label. She didn't just steal from me. She duplicated me. Maddie dug up the LLC registration. It was clean, too clean. A shell company with a registered agent address downtown. One of those $100 a year mailbox drop places. We found the EIN, the tax filings, even a list of recent wholesale orders. Then Maddie pulled up our suppliers' invoices. That's when we realized something critical. Tessa hadn't changed suppliers at all. She was still using the same ones I had relationships with. She just told them I had stepped down. And none of them questioned it. Why would they? Tessa had always been by my side at meetings. She'd signed emails as operations manager for years. When she told them Arya was taking a break for mental health reasons, they probably believed her. But there was one thing she hadn't counted on: the origin. Every original logo file, every production template, every pattern sketch, I had created them. From my laptop, my IP address, my email, my digital signature. We had timestamps going back years. And with Maddie's help, we turned it all into a forensic trail. By midnight, we had a 63-page document, complete with side-by-side comparisons of Tessa's plagiarized work and my originals. Maddie was giddy. You've got her. She won't see it coming. But I wasn't interested in court, not yet. Because I wasn't done feeling humiliated. I wasn't done feeling powerless. And I wasn't ready to forgive myself. So I did the one thing that made sense. I opened my Instagram app, clicked new account, and typed the name. Arya was framed. It's funny how quickly people believe a lie, especially when it's packaged in expensive lighting, filtered selfies, and hashtags like #girlboss. But I had something better than a brand. I had the truth. I launched the Instagram account at 1:42 a.m. At Arya was framed. No bio, no profile picture, just one black and white post. Imagine building a company from scratch, only to have your best friend steal it out from under you. I was erased, replaced, silenced. This is my story. Then I attached the first carousel. Side-by-side comparisons of my original designs with the ones Tessa had rebranded under A+ threads. Screenshots of our messages. Video stills of me sketching those ideas years ago. Her, standing beside me, smiling. I didn't tag her. I didn't need to. People noticed. By noon, the post had 4,000 likes and over 300 comments. My DMs exploded. Former customers started chiming in. Wait, I thought you owned Aria and Co. And I just bought from A+ threads. Are you saying they stole your stuff? A few influencers I had worked with reached out privately. One said, Tessa told us you had a breakdown and gave her everything. I'm so sorry. Breakdown? That's the lie she told the world? That I was unstable? I sat with Maddie that afternoon and told her I wasn't done. One viral post wouldn't fix everything. I wanted the truth everywhere. And I wanted her terrified. So we crafted a plan. First, I posted a second reel. A video clip showing me 2 years ago, walking through a pop-up event explaining the sustainable sourcing model I created. In the background, Tessa, nodding and laughing, saying, this is all Aria's vision. I'm just along for the ride. Then came screenshots of internal documents, emails from our supplier praising my business plans, spreadsheets I built, side-by-side comparisons of plagiarized captions, and finally, the live stream clip, the one where Tessa said on video, this girl built the brand from nothing. I just help her shine. I posted it with the caption, funny how memory fades when power's on the line. Within 24 hours, the account had 12,000 followers, and the pressure hit. Tessa messaged me from a burner Instagram account. Aria, please stop. This isn't fair. You're ruining everything I've built. Everything SHE built? I didn't reply. Instead, I posted the message with her name blurred and added, when thieves beg for silence, you know you're winning. That's when things really spiraled. 3 micro-influencers publicly announced they were cutting ties with A+ threads. A TikTok user posted a side-by-side breakdown of my stolen content. It went viral. Reddit picked up the story. Then X, formerly Twitter. Then YouTube. Every post included comparisons of designs, receipts, and commentary like, Can't believe a best friend would do this. This is giving major single white female energy. Support the real creator. And best of all, my inbox started filling up with orders. People were asking, "Are you starting a new brand? I want to support you directly. Tell me how to help." The world was listening. And Tessa? She went quiet. No posts, no stories. Her comments turned off. Her brand's follower count started dropping. She changed the store from public to private. But I wasn't done. This wasn't just a digital war. I wanted everything back, including my company. And to do that, I needed legal firepower. When I started Aria and Company, I was just a designer with a dream. No law degree, no MBA, just fabric, fire, and faith. But now I was a woman on a mission with a 67-page case file, a cousin in law school, and an army of strangers on the internet demanding justice. And justice, I realized, was long overdue. Maddie and I printed every receipt, every email, every contract. I spent 3 full days assembling the evidence into a presentation so airtight you could bounce a coin off it. Then I did something that felt both terrifying and empowering. I walked into a boutique business law firm downtown with a binder in hand and said, "Hi, I need to sue my best friend." The woman at the front desk raised an eyebrow. I slid the binder across the counter. An hour later, I was sitting with 2 lawyers who specialized in intellectual property theft and corporate sabotage. They flipped through my documents with raised brows, nodding, jotting down notes. At one point, one of them said, "You didn't just come prepared, you came with the entire war map." They were impressed, but more importantly, they were ready to help. The lawsuit was drafted quickly. Breach of fiduciary duty, intellectual property theft, fraud, defamation. We filed for an emergency injunction to freeze A+ Threads accounts until ownership could be verified. And then came the cease and desist letters, one to her new company, and one to every major distributor she'd been working with. My lawyer sent them back by digital forensics showing file creation dates, public acknowledgments from Tessa, and a full forensic audit Maddie had helped compile. I thought I'd feel relieved, but I didn't. Not yet. Because the damage Tessa did wasn't just financial. It was emotional. It cut deep into the very root of who I thought I was. This woman, she knew my passwords. She knew my childhood stories. She was there when my dad died. She held my hand when I got my first big sale. And then she took a knife and carved me out of my own life. 2 weeks later, we had our first hearing. Tessa showed up in a designer blazer, all fake confidence and too bright lipstick. Her lawyer tried to paint it as a miscommunication, saying I had agreed to step away and had mental health challenges. I didn't say a word. My lawyer opened the laptop, played the live stream, showed the emails, played her voice note where she joked to someone else. I'll finally get the credit I deserve once Aria's out of the way. The judge's face didn't move, but his words did. He granted a freeze on all A+ Threads assets pending a full review. We were allowed discovery access to her devices, files, and cloud backups, and she was ordered not to delete or modify a single thing. She left the courtroom red-faced, shaking. I stood outside the courthouse and took a breath of air that felt like oxygen for the first time in months. But I didn't post anything that day, because I wasn't interested in going viral anymore. I was rebuilding. The very next morning, I officially registered my new company, Rewoven by Aria. It was everything Aria and Company was meant to be: clean, sustainable, unapologetically authentic. And this time, I owned it. Alone. I launched a pre-order for 3 hoodie designs, Fresh patterns, bold colorways, stories sewn into the tags. Every item came with a printed card that read, "Designed by Arya. Not stolen. Not silenced. Rewoven." I sold out in 4 days. You'd think the worst part of betrayal is the act itself, being stabbed in the back by someone you trusted with your life. But it's not. It's what comes after. It's the realization that they never really saw you the way you saw them. While my lawyers combed through Tessa's files, I poured my heart into Rewoven by Arya. We weren't just a brand anymore. We were a movement. People who had followed my journey from the first post on at Arya Was Framed were now customers, supporters, defenders. They wore my new designs with pride, shared their own stories of betrayal, tagged me in videos with tears in their eyes, saying things like, "This hoodie isn't just fabric. It's proof I survived." Meanwhile, the legal discovery phase was turning up bombshells. Maddie was the first to break the news. She knocked on my apartment door at 11 p.m., a folder in hand, and said, "You're going to want to sit down for this." Inside the folder were emails, dozens of them, from Tessa, not just to suppliers or manufacturers, but to influencers, media contacts, and investors. In one, she wrote, "Arya is spiraling. I'm stepping in to protect the brand before she ruins it." In another, "She's having breakdowns again. It's not safe to keep her in control of the company." She painted me as unstable, volatile, unfit. And the worst part? Some people believed her. There was even a pitch deck she created, using my designs, my data, and my face to raise $50,000 in seed funding for A-plus threads. In it, she claimed she was the sole creator and founder. And she got the funding. The investors had no idea I existed. The rage, I felt it wasn't loud. It wasn't explosive. It was ice. I sat there, frozen, realizing this wasn't just a case of jealousy or poor judgment. This was a full-on, malicious campaign. A smear operation. She hadn't just wanted to take the company. She wanted to erase me. So I fought back, louder than ever. I released a 3-part video series titled, "The Story They Tried to Bury." In it, I walked people through the journey from Arya and Company's birth to the lawsuit. I showed proof, played recordings, shared messages. I even included the original video of Tessa giving me credit on national TV during an early interview. Each video ended with the same line, "This isn't just about me. It's about anyone who's ever been erased." The series went viral again. People called it the startup scandal of the year. Tessa's name was trending. The pressure got to her. Her lawyer tried to settle. Quietly, he offered to transfer the remaining assets of A-plus threads to me in exchange for a non-disclosure agreement. I said no, because I wasn't interested in a quiet ending. I wanted truth, transparency, and full accountability. And I got it. 3 weeks later, after a formal review, a judge ruled in my favor. I was granted full ownership of all intellectual property, trademarks, and assets from both Arya and Company and A-plus threads. Public recognition of original authorship and business ownership. A public apology posted on all former brand accounts. Restitution for damages and lost income. Tessa was legally barred from starting a similar company for the next 5 years. She vanished from the internet, deleted all her profiles, and I didn't feel sorry for her. Not anymore. Because karma wasn't a maybe. It was inevitable. The day I walked into the new Rewoven by Arya studio, I stood in silence for a long time. Sunlight poured through the tall windows, reflecting off rows of work tables, bolts of fabric, sewing machines, all mine. But more importantly, no ghosts, No lies. No one to take it away. This wasn't just a brand revival. It was a rebirth. The media had a field day. Fashion blogs, entrepreneur podcasts, even mainstream magazines covered the story. How one designer took down a copycat empire. From betrayal to billion-dollar potential. Areas rise. A masterclass in graceful revenge. I wasn't trying to be a symbol, but somehow I became one. Young designers emailed me for advice. Women who had been silenced in business reached out just to say, "Thank you for speaking up." Even one of the former investors from A-plus Threads contacted me with an apology and offered to fund my next line. I declined because now I wasn't doing this to prove anything to anyone. I was doing it for me. We launched our biggest collection to date, the Phoenix line. Every piece in the line had a hidden stitch in red thread. A quiet reminder, you can't kill what rises from fire. The pre-orders sold out in less than 48 hours. We opened a physical flagship store in Brooklyn. Walls filled with reclaimed wood, framed sketches, and one quote painted across the entrance. She wasn't broken. She was rewritten. And me, I finally started sleeping again, eating again, living again. Maddie became my head of operations. I hired 5 interns, mostly young women of color, who reminded me so much of myself. Scrappy, bold, underrated. We hosted workshops, collaborated with indie creators, launched a mentorship program called Threaded Truths, aimed at empowering designers who had been pushed out or plagiarized. Every week, someone shared their story, and every week, we stitched ours deeper into the fabric of something real. One evening, I received an envelope. No return address. Inside was a card, handwritten. "I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know I see now what I did. And who you really are. T." I folded the note, placed it in a drawer, and never responded. Because closure doesn't always come in the form of apologies. Sometimes it comes when you realize you're no longer haunted. You're home. Now, when people ask me what I learned from the whole thing, I say this: don't just protect your work. Protect your light. Because the wrong people won't just steal your ideas, they'll try to steal your voice, your identity, your narrative. But if you fight smartly, boldly, and unapologetically, you won't just get it back. You'll build something no one can touch. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If it moved you, inspired you, or even just made you feel seen, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Red Flag Diaries for more powerful, real-life inspired stories like this one. And remember, the red flags don't lie. If you see them, don't ignore them. We'll see you in the next one.